I never thought the sound of a rooster crowing at dawn could lead to the police knocking on my front gate. But then again, I never thought I'd end up in a homeowners association run by someone like Karen Beckman, a woman whose love for control was only matched by her hatred of anything remotely rural. Let me back up a bit. My name is Wesley Grant, and I'm a third-generation farmer. My wife, Lydia, and I had saved up for years to buy a small plot of land right on the edge of a suburban neighborhood called Brookside Hills. It was one of those communities that sprouted up next to old farmland, full of cookie-cutter houses, perfectly trimmed lawns, and an HOA that made you file a form just to change your mailbox color. We didn't buy one of those homes. We bought 5 acres of farmland next to the development, legally outside of the HOA's jurisdiction, but that didn't stop Karen from trying to run the show. She introduced herself. The very first morning we moved in, walking right up to our fence with a clipboard and an attitude. "Excuse me," she said, poking her sunglasses down her nose, "but are you aware that livestock aren't permitted in this community?" I looked over her shoulder at our rooster, perched proudly on the fence post. "I think he is," I replied with a smile. "And I'm pretty sure our land isn't in your community." Karen didn't laugh. She narrowed her eyes and scribbled something on her clipboard, like she was writing me a ticket. "You'll be hearing from the HOA," she warned. I didn't respond. I just tipped my hat and walked back toward the barn. For the first few weeks, things were manageable. Buster crowed at dawn, the cows mooed, and I planted rows of tomatoes, cucumbers, and sweet corn. Lydia started a small roadside stand, and folks from the neighborhood actually loved it. Kids came to pet our goats, old folks bought fresh eggs, and on Sundays we sold out of homemade jam before noon. But Karen hated every second of it. She began sending us fake violation notices on HOA letterhead, even though we weren't members. Too many vehicles parked near property, offensive livestock noises, and the most absurd one, unauthorized farm smell. I nearly laughed myself sick reading that one afternoon. She marched over to the property line, arms crossed like a military general. "I've already reported your rooster to animal control," she said smugly. "It's disturbing the peace." I looked at her, then at Buster, who let out a proud crow like he knew she was talking about him. "That's just nature, Karen," I replied. "If you don't like the country, maybe don't live next to it." That set her off. Her nostrils flared like a bull seeing red. "This isn't the country, Mr. Grant. This is a residential community. And if you think you're going to bring down our property values with your barnyard circus, think again." Before I could respond, she turned on her heel and stormed off, shouting something about getting the county involved. 2 days later, the sheriff showed up. Now, this is where Karen's plan backfired the first time. You see, the sheriff? He went to high school with me. Named Sheriff Dale Whitley. Big guy, mustache thick as rope, and a dry sense of humor that could kill at a funeral. "Wes," he said, stepping out of the cruiser with a smirk. "I got a noise complaint about a rooster. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that?" I gestured toward Buster, who was pecking the ground like nothing in the world could bother him. "Just this guy. He's been a little vocal in the mornings." Dale laughed and shook his head. "Figures, it's Karen, isn't it? She's got a vendetta." "Well, legally she doesn't have a leg to stand on. You're zoned agricultural, your property line's clean, and as far as I'm concerned, that rooster's got more charm than half the HOA. Still, he gave me a warning. Not an official one, just a heads up. Watch yourself. She's digging for anything she can use. And if she can't find it, she make it up." Karen escalated fast. She started parking her SUV across from our driveway, just sitting there for hours with binoculars and a notebook. She filmed our animals, our kids, even our customers. She made posts in the neighborhood Facebook group claiming we were running an unlicensed petting zoo and that our goats were spreading disease. One of her posts even called Lydia unsanitary and unsafe for children, which lit a fire under me I didn't even know I had. But the tipping point came one Saturday morning. It was just after 8 a.m. We were setting up the produce stand when a whole convoy of police cruisers rolled in, lights flashing, sirens low. I thought maybe there'd been an accident nearby, But no, they came for us. 4 officers got out. One of them approached me directly while the others fanned out, looking around like we were harboring fugitives. Mr. Grant, the lead officer, sighed. We've received a report of illegal animal trafficking, improper waste disposal, and health code violations. We have a warrant to inspect the premises. I was stunned. What? Before I could ask more questions, Lydia came running. Out, apron on, face pale. Wes, they're trying to take Buster. Sure enough, 2 officers were in the coupe, reaching for him, and standing proudly behind them, arms folded, sunglasses glinting in the sun, was Karen Beckman. She was smiling, that smug, satisfied grin that said, I got you. I walked straight up to her, furious. You called the police for this? Are you insane? I warned you, she said, sipping her iced coffee like this was some sort of brunch entertainment. I told you I'd get you shut down. You should have just removed the animals. But now you'll see what happens when you challenge. Me. I clenched my jaw so tight it hurt. That's when Lydia stepped between us. You messed with the wrong family. Karen, you better hope this search turns up something. Because if it doesn't, you're going to regret ever stepping foot on this land. Karen rolled her eyes. It's too late for threats. But what? She didn't know, not yet, was that we had something stronger than threats. We had proof, and we were about to expose her entire plan. When the officers started poking around our barn, coop, and vegetable stand, my stomach turned. Not because we had anything to hide, far from it, but because this wasn't just about chickens anymore. This was about principle. I watched them unzip duffel bags, look through feed bins, inspect the goats, and even sniff around the compost pile. It was surreal. We weren't running some underground black market for eggs. We were selling cucumbers and jam, for crying out loud, but there stood Karen, arms crossed, lips curled, filming the whole thing on her phone like she was some true crime detective catching a criminal red-handed. What she didn't know was, this entire thing was about to explode in her face. About 20 minutes into the inspection, one of the younger officers approached the lead and whispered something in his ear. He nodded, then turned back to me. Double quotes, Mr. Grant, do you happen to have documentation of your zoning status, business registration, and livestock licenses? Yes, sir, I said calmly, all of it, inside the kitchen. Give me 1 minute. You. See, after Karen's first wave of fake complaints, my wife and I had gone into defensive mode. Lydia, God bless her, had organized every permit, every deed, every invoice. She even printed out the county zoning map showing our property was agricultural and not under the HOA. I brought out a fat accordion folder and handed it to the officer. He flipped through it, and the moment his eyes hit the bolded words agricultural exemption, livestock and produce permitted, his whole body relaxed. This looks in order, he said. Give me a few minutes. Meanwhile, Karen was pacing, eyes darting back and forth. What are you doing? She hissed at one officer. I told you they were running illegal operations. Ma'am, the officer replied, you said there were signs of animal abuse and illegal disposal. We're not seeing any of that, but the smell, the noise, the rooster. The officer raised a brow. You mean the one that's allowed under their zoning? Karen looked like she'd just swallowed. A lemon hole. Now here's where things got real spicy. While the officers were finishing up, I took out my phone and said, since we're talking about complaints and violations, I'd like to show you some footage. I handed the officer my phone. He hit play. It was security camera footage from last week. At 2:13 a.m., Karen could be seen hopping our side fence in a robe, carrying a plastic bottle. She then proceeded to spray pesticide on our tomato plants, the same plants she later claimed were toxic and dangerous. She even stomped on a patch of squash. Officer Dale, the sheriff, had arrived by then. I showed him the video too. He watched silently, jaw clenched. She trespassed and tampered with your crops? He asked. Sure did, and that ain't all. She also harassed our customers, recorded children without consent, and falsely impersonated an HOA authority on our property. I've got screen recordings of her evaluation letters she sent us, all fake. Dale's voice dropped. You pressing charges? I nodded. Absolutely. Karen must have noticed the tone shifting because she marched over. What is he saying to you? Dale turned to her slowly. Karen Beckman, you are being formally warned for filing false police reports, trespassing, and vandalism. You may also be subject to civil charges. If you step foot on this property again, you will be arrested. Karen's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping on dry land. You can't be serious. I'm the HOA president. This is my neighborhood. Dale raised a hand. And this isn't your land. You've overstepped. Go home. She glared at me, face redder than a beet. This isn't over, she whispered. You think you've won, but people like you don't belong here. I will clean this neighborhood up. Lydia stepped forward, calm, cool, and unbothered. You said it yourself, Karen. It's not your neighborhood. And now everyone sees who you really are. The fallout word traveled fast. By the end of the day, everyone in Brookside Hills knew about Karen's little stunt. It turned out we weren't the only ones she targeted. Several neighbors had quietly endured her tyranny, fines for having flower pots in the wrong color, complaints about kids laughing too loud, and citations for unapproved wind chimes. But our case gave people the courage to speak up. A week later, a group of residents held a special vote to review her position. And in a glorious 38-2 result, Karen was removed as HOA president. Even better, our footage and her fake complaints were used in a civil case, which forced her to pay restitution for damages to our crops, lawyer fees, and emotional distress. Karen sold her house 3 months later. Rumor is she moved to a condo in Florida. No animals, no kids, no neighbors who talk back. Epilogue. Sweet karma tastes like honey after Karen was gone. Life returned to normal. No more binoculars. No more fake notices. Just the sound of the wind through the corn, the cluck of chickens, and of course Buster the rooster, who still crows at dawn like he's announcing a victory. We renamed our roadside stand Sweet Karma Farm. The locals love it. Even the new HOA president shops with us every weekend. And sometimes, when the sun's just coming up and Buster lets out that first proud crow, I swear I can hear Karen's voice echoing from wherever she is, muttering, that rooster ... again? And I just smile. Because in the end, nature always wins.